Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at, listening to, and installing the MagnaFlow Street Dual Exhaust System with the chrome tips and the middle side exit, available for the 2015 and newer 5-liter F-150. Now, as you just heard from our sound clips, guys, I'm giving this 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. It's one of the more aggressive daily driver exhausts that isn't going to be too loud inside the cabin despite being a middle side exit. Typically, when you have a middle side exit, because the exhaust is closer to the cabin itself instead of being toward the bed of the truck, it's typically a little bit louder inside the cabin. And while that may be true for this, it still doesn't have a lot of drone inside that cabin. So you can easily go on long road trips with this exhaust. You can have a conversation with your husband or wife in the passenger seat, and your kids will have an easy time sleeping in the back seat as well. It's aggressive when you get on the exhaust, wide open throttle, it's got a loud bark. Red light to red light though, it's pretty tamed, giving you a deep throaty rumble. Now with our revs, guys, as you heard, it's got a little bit of backfire there, so you get some of that snap, crackle, and pop that in my opinion just sounds so good. As a matter of fact, completely being honest, I think this is one of my favorite exhausts for the 5-liter that I've done for this F-150 generation. It's just something that sounds really, really crisp and really aggressive. Now the middle side exit here is extremely unique. Usually in the aftermarket you get dual rears that come out under the rear bumper, dual split side exits that come out behind the passenger tire. The middle side exit, however, is going to dump out in front of the passenger side tire with dual tips. Now these tips are 4-inch side slash cut. So instead of getting slashed from the top down, it's from the side. So it's very unique looking. The polished stainless steel kind of keeps that more traditional OEM look in terms of the stainless steel polished chrome. But if you want something a little bit different and a little stealthier, there's a black version as well with a black powder coated finish. Now the price tag for this guy is going to come in right around $950. It's not really an entry level exhaust, but it's not one of the most expensive in the category either. Perfect for guys who are willing to spend a little bit more money for the top quality 304 stainless steel without really breaking the bank on a full catback that goes all the way to the rear. Doesn't have a lot of material included in the kit because it's such a short exhaust going from the cat pipe to just in front of the tire. Now, like I said, 304 stainless steel, 3-inch mandrel bent tubing. It's something that'll hold up, especially useful in the wintry months, seeing a lot of road salt like we do here on the East Coast. It's got corrosion and rust resistance as it is one of the higher quality materials. Install wise, I'm giving it 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle this in the driveway at home. You don't have to worry about feeding pipes over the rear axle or anything like that. All you gotta do is get your factory exhaust out of the way, and this is gonna bolt up right in its place. There's one caveat to the install that doesn't really change the difficulty or even the process at all, but the 2021 and newer F-150s, the 5-liter newer F-150s, have a different pipe included in the kit that attaches to the cat pipe. The flange is just a little bit different on the 21 and newer vehicles. We're working on a 15 to 20 vehicle here in the shop today, which is going to use a different pipe. Both pipes are included in the kit. Just make sure you're picking the correct one for your vehicle. Install process is nearly identical. Just keep in mind that ours may look a little different than yours if you're running a 2021 or newer. With that said, I'm going to walk you through the process. It'll take you about 2 hours from start to finish. Let's get started. Tools used in the install include an impact gun, a ratchet, a couple of different size extensions, 13 and 15 millimeter deep sockets. Recommended are a 10 and 13 millimeter swivel socket, 15 millimeter wrench, and a hanger removal tool. Step number 1 for the uninstall, head back to the factory flange, connecting it to the cat pipe, grab a 13 socket. I'm going to recommend a swivel socket just to get in these tighter angles. Get both of those bolts off. Next up, you could try to pop this hanger out of the isolator, but it's really easy to get this off the frame, so I'm going to use a 10 swivel socket to get those 2 bolts off. Now it's easier to do this next part if you lubricate those hanger isolators with some PB Blaster, WD-40 or something similar. Grab a helping hand and get the entire exhaust off in one piece. It also helps if you have a pry bar, you can get a little bit of leverage. So we got our factory exhaust off of our 15 F-150, and it's on the ground here next to our MagnaFlow middle exit exhaust. I want to take you through some similarities and differences here, and I gotta say, from head to toe, it is extremely different than the factory exhaust. It's got a higher quality material with a larger volume of airflow. It's gonna have a bigger diameter pipe. That's gonna be a 3-inch inlet and a 2.5-inch outlet for the dual exhaust. Now, while it is a dual exhaust, they're still dumping out in the same direction, unlike most dual exhausts that go either dual side or dual rear. This one's going to be a dual side, but the middle exit. Now the middle exit basically refers to it dumping out in front of the passenger side tire as opposed to behind it like the factory exhaust. So you have significantly less material. It's got less distance for the airflow to actually travel out of. Now you're going to have the same sort of inlet pipe with a resonator delete. You can see there's no resonator up by the front of the vehicle. It goes right into the muffler with no extension pipe there, so it's a lot shorter of a muffler, a lot smaller muffler, and that's going to produce the sound you heard earlier on. And then finally, it almost immediately dumps out the side of the vehicle. Because it's coming out of the side of the vehicle instead of the rear, it's closer to the cabin. It's closer to the driver and passenger seat at the front end, so it may be a little bit louder inside of the vehicle, but still, you heard that from the sound clips earlier on. It's aggressive, it sounds really good. And then finally, the dual exhaust, as opposed to the single exhaust, is gonna have two tips coming out the back, two 3.5-inch slash cut tips, slashed at the side instead of the top. So it's a little bit different than most tips in the market, a lot different than the factory one, which is honestly pretty plain and traditional. This guy here is gonna make it a lot more aggressive looking. With that said, I wanna start with the install. We're gonna start by installing that flange pipe all the way up at the top where it connects to the cat pipe. First step here, grab your inlet pipe. You're gonna lay it up against the factory flange, just like that. A helping hand holding the other side on is definitely a huge help. Put the factory bolt through, grab the new nut included in the kit, and tighten it down to the other side of that bolt. Do the same thing for the other side. And now we can tighten those guys down. Grab a 15 socket and a 13 swivel socket and tighten those guys down. Now, if you remember correctly, we removed the entire hanger assembly from the frame. We have to put that back on. So pop it off the factory exhaust if you haven't done so already. Put those factory 10mm bolts back in here, just a few by hand, just a few threads. Grab your 10mm socket. I'm gonna use my swivel and just tighten it down. Next up, we're on the outside of our passenger side. If you take a look at where the leaf spring connects here, just under the frame there, you have two square holes next to two smaller circle holes. You're gonna take these U-nut clips included in the kit, go in the square hole and snap it in so that the threaded hole in the clip is in that circle. Do the same thing directly above it. Just like that. Super simple, snaps right in. Now we can attach or install a hanger bracket there along with the rubber isolator. All right, next we're going to install again that hanger bracket. Grab the bolts included in the kit, thread those guys on. So there's one, swing this guy up, and this is a tight squeeze, but you want to at least get a couple of threads on that bolt on, and then we can come in with a socket that'll reach. All right, so now we can tighten those down. Grab your 13 and tighten this down. I'm going to use a swivel socket for the bottom. The top one's a little tougher to get to, so I'm going to switch over to a ratchet, a 13 deep socket, and an extension. Next, pop your rubber isolator on included in the kit. It definitely helps to lubricate this. All right, and the last step here is just to hang up the entire muffler assembly and tips. Now this is a little bit wonky, a little heavy. I'm gonna bring it up, connect the muffler. Make sure you have a clamp on that pipe side. Then you wanna bring this guy up and connect it to the hanger on the inside of the frame, just above the muffler. All right, and do the same thing for the outside. From the outside, you wanna make sure that this hanger is getting connected as well. This one's a little bit more difficult, but you wanna bring it up. Especially helps if it's lubricated. Make sure both hangers are hung up, and now we can tighten down that clamp. Last step here, make sure your tips are aligned, and then come back and tighten down this clamp. All right, at this point, you're good to go. That's gonna wrap up my review, install, and sound clip for the MagnaFlow Street dual exhaust system with the polished tips and the middle side exit for the 15 and newer 5-liter F-150. Get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.